Welcome to this brief interview whereby we're going to discuss the recent AU election that concluded in Addis Ababa, where Kenya lost and Djibouti secured that position. So we'll have our guest today, who is Abdihakim Bishar, regional analyst, to take us through this brief interview. If I will start with the first question, what does the African Union Commission chairperson role entail? And could you please tell us?
Thank you, Abdinur. Pleasure to be here at Frontier Media. Basically, the African Union Commission chair role entails a number of tasks and assignments. But to appreciate that, you will need to look at the context of the African Union Commission. For instance, is a rotational seat that goes to among the 5 different regions of the African continent. In this instance, we have the seat coming to Eastern Africa, where the Djiboutian candidate has beaten the Kenyan candidate through a 2/3 majority of the votes for those countries that are eligible. In terms of the role, the African Union Commission chairperson is the chief executive officer. He is also the legal representative of the Commission and has, or rather oversees, the operations of the entire Commission. He's in charge of the finances, and as such, he's the acting accounting officer. In addition, he also hires all the Commission staff, as well as consolidating the AU's objective through consultation and coordination with the member states, regional economic commissions, as well as development partners.
Why has Kenya decided to front a candidate for the AU role?
I believe, other than domestic consideration, there are a number of reasons for fronting a candidate. For instance, having a Kenyan citizen vie for such a platform, international platform rather, increases the standing of Kenya's image and prestige, and as such, therefore, this is likely to be to have some sort of economic trickle down, as this entire process acts as an advertisement, in other words, for the country. In addition, it also strengthens the standing and the competitiveness of Kenya's human resources. But more importantly, President Ruto has been championing for reforms at the level of the AU, in addition to President Paul Kagame. As such, having a Kenyan candidate, vie for such a position will strengthen the vision of President Ruto through championing or realizing his vision for Africa.
Okay, what will you say contributed to Kenya's defeat?
I think to appreciate Kenya's performance at the African Union elections, we need to relook at the African landscape. There are a number of core issues that resonate within the continent, some historical, some present. For instance, there are fault lines and cleavages in some parts of the, in some part of Africa. For instance, there are border disputes, there are secessionist movement, and I think Raila Odinga was a victim of this, as he previously came out and supported some of the secessionist or independent movement groups. And naturally, the parent countries of the movements of these movement groups will naturally not endorse or vote for Raila. Similarly, there's also the language, sort of geographical languages or countries that share common imperial history. Such countries tend to coalesce, tend to bond together when one of their own is contesting for a major position. As such, in this instance, we saw the externalization or othering of Raila's candidature. And I think this has also contributed to him losing the position. In addition, those are historical ones. If you look at the current context, We have seen Kenya, for example, giving the perception of closeness to a number of Western countries. For instance, Kenya was recently named or declared as a major non-NATO ally, in East Africa. That itself depicts, some sort of a proximity to the Western system, and therefore some countries naturally will see this as a factor in deciding who to vote for. Secondly, I think also Palestine-Israel issue, for instance, I think that's one of the major issues that is currently at the policy circles. And if you look at, for example, the final communique that came out from the African Union, this was mentioned. The Palestine-Israeli conflict was mentioned, and the need for a solution for such. And therefore, I think these two have played their part in basically leading to Raila's loss of the seat.
What is the way forward for Kenya, and what lessons can be learned from this?
I think we can see a number of lessons. For instance, the need to make outreach, the need to make efforts and conduct outreach to African regions, explaining basically Kenya's stand on major continental or core issues that were seen problematic in the recent AU elections. Secondly, Kenya needs to put some effort in terms of strengthening existing regional economic cooperation frameworks. For example, the East African Commission, which we know has not voted as a bloc for the Kenyan candidate. I think finally, I will say strengthening the African diplomacy unit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in terms of capacity building, in terms of deeper engagement with countries in the African continent.